Not every GMT watch is built for the same person. Some are made for people who travel all the time. Others are perfect if you just want to keep track of another time zone from home or the office. The good thing is, there are plenty of great options today, whether you're buying your first GMT or adding another one to your collection. So in this video, I'm sharing 10 GMT watches that I think make sense in 2026, not because they are the most expensive or the most popular, but because each one brings something worth talking about. Let's get into it. I'm starting with the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT because I think Tudor got this one right. The first thing you'll notice is the size. A lot of GMT watches can feel big on the wrist, but this one doesn't. Once you put it on, it just feels comfortable, and that's something you appreciate if you're wearing it all day. It's also a true GMT, so if you're someone who travels between countries, changing the local time is quick and straightforward. That's one of those features you may not think about until you actually need it. I also like that Tudor didn't overcomplicate the design. The dial is clean, everything is easy to read, and the GMT hand stands out without getting in the way. The Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT sits somewhere around the mid-$5,000 range, depending on the version you choose. So no, this isn't an entry-level GMT, but if you're already shopping in this price range, it's easy to see why so many collectors keep coming back to it. If you're looking for a GMT watch that you won't outgrow anytime soon, I'd say have a look at the Longines Spirit Zulu time. It's one of those watches that doesn't need to do too much to win you over. The more you wear it, the more you start noticing the little things that make it enjoyable. One thing I like is how simple the GMT function feels. You're not fighting with the watch or trying to figure things out. Everything is where you'd expect it to be, and that's exactly what you want when you're changing time zones. The dial is also easy to read. Nothing feels crowded, the GMT hand stands out nicely, and the watch still looks clean. It's the kind of watch that fits into almost any situation without looking out of place. For me, this is a GMT I'd feel comfortable wearing for years. It doesn't rely on trends, and I think that's one of the reasons it has become such a popular choice among watch collectors. Grand Seiko Evolution 9 GMT. Now, if you've never handled a Grand Seiko before, don't judge it by pictures alone. This is one of those watches you really need to see in person. Once the light hits the dial, you'll understand why people keep talking about it. I also like that Grand Seiko didn't forget this is supposed to be a GMT watch. The extra hand is easy to read, it doesn't make the dial look busy, and checking another time zone feels completely natural. Another thing that stands out is the finishing. Every little detail feels like someone actually cared while making it. It's the kind of watch where you keep finding something new to admire the longer you own it. If you enjoy paying attention to details, I don't think this watch will disappoint you. It's one of those pieces that keeps reminding you why Grand Seiko has earned so much respect over the years. Christopher Ward C63 Sealander GMT. Christopher Ward is one of those brands that has changed a lot over the years. A while back, not many people paid attention to them, but that's no longer the case. They've been making some really impressive watches, and the C63 Sealander GMT is a good example of that. The first thing you'll probably notice is how balanced everything looks. Nothing feels oversized, nothing looks out of place, and that's one of the reasons this watch is so easy to wear. Using the GMT function is simple, and after a few minutes, it feels like you've been using it for years. That's something I always appreciate because a watch should make life easier, not more complicated. If you've been curious about Christopher Ward but haven't owned one before, I honestly think this is a good place to start. Formex Reef GMT. I don't think enough people talk about Formex, and that's a shame because they're making some really good watches. The Reef GMT is one of those pieces that quietly does everything well without making a lot of noise about it. The moment you put it on, you notice how comfortable it feels. That's something you don't always hear people talk about, but it matters, especially if you're wearing the watch all day or traveling with it. The GMT function feels smooth, the dial is easy to read, and nothing about the watch feels like it was added just for the sake of it. Everything has a purpose. If you've never considered Formex before, this might be the watch that changes your mind. Baltic Aquascaphe, a GMT Baltic, has done a really good job of building a name for itself without trying to copy everyone else. The Aquascaphe GMT has its own personality, and I think that's one of the reasons people enjoy wearing it. It has that classic look that never seems to go out of style. You can wear it today, pick it up again a few years from now, and it still feels just as good. I also like that the GMT function doesn't take over the watch. It's there when you need it, but the watch still feels clean and easy to read. If you like watches with a bit of vintage character, this is one that's definitely worth knowing about. Seiko 5 Sports GMT. I don't think you can talk about GMT watches in 2026 without mentioning the Seiko 5 Sports GMT. This is the watch that introduced a lot of people to GMT watches, and honestly, Seiko got a lot right with it. It doesn't feel like a watch you have to save for years to enjoy. You buy it, put it on, and before long, it becomes one of those watches you keep reaching for without even thinking about it. The GMT function is easy to understand, which is great if this is your first GMT watch. You don't need to spend hours figuring everything out. After a few minutes, you're already comfortable using it. If someone asked me where to begin their GMT journey, this would easily be one of the first watches I'd mention. Citizen Promaster Land, the GMT Citizen has always been known for making practical watches, and the Promaster Land GMT continues that tradition. It's the kind of watch that focuses on being useful instead of trying to impress you with unnecessary extras. One thing I really like is that you don't have to worry about changing batteries because it's powered by EcoDrive. Just wear it, let it see some light, and you're good to go. That's one less thing to think about when you're traveling. The watch is easy to read, comfortable on the wrist, and built for everyday use. It doesn't ask for much attention, but it quietly gets the job done. If you're the kind of person who likes watches that are practical first, I think you'll enjoy what Citizen has done here. Mido Ocean Star GMT. I don't think the Mido Ocean Star GMT gets the attention it deserves. Whenever people talk about GMT watches, this one somehow gets left out, and I honestly don't know why. What I like about it is that it feels like a watch that's ready to go anywhere. Whether you're catching a flight, spending a few days by the beach, or just wearing it as your everyday watch, it never feels out of place. The GMT function is easy to use, and that's something I always appreciate. You shouldn't have to read the manual every time you want to change a time zone. Once you get the hang of it, everything feels natural. If you've been looking around for a GMT and haven't considered Mido yet, I'd say it's worth taking a second look. You might end up liking it more than you expected. Timex Q GMT. I'm ending this list with the Timex Q GMT because I think it's proof that you don't have to spend a fortune to enjoy a GMT watch. The first thing that usually grabs people is the design. It has that classic look that reminds you of older GMT watches, and I think Timex did a good job keeping that vintage feel without making it look outdated. This is the kind of watch you can just put on and enjoy. You don't have to baby it, and you don't have to feel like you're wearing something too expensive. Sometimes that's exactly what you want from a watch. If you're just getting into GMT watches, or you simply want something that's fun to wear, I don't think you'll regret giving the Timex Q GMT a chance. So those are 10 GMT watches that I think make sense in 2026. I'm sure some of you have a different list, and that's completely fine. That's one of the things I enjoy about watches. There's always another opinion, another brand, or another watch that deserves a mention. Now I'd like to hear from you. Which GMT watch on this list would you actually wear? Or is there one you think should have been here that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely like to hear your picks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.